1969, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross published a landmark book called On Death and Dying, which was an analysis of terminally ill patients. It was not a study on grieving or the stages of grief, though it became synonymous with that, and introduced for a lot of people a narrative, a way to think about what it is that we go through as part of our end game at the end of life, at whatever point that occurs. Every now and then, we have a client, an organization that we're coming alongside that is going through, if not death, certainly rebirth, insofar as they've been acquired or are merging with another organization. Though in some cases, we have had organizations that reach out because they are going out of business and they want to help employees exit gracefully with good packages and support and skills in order to land on their feet with whatever's next. And we have had some occasions where we've interacted with a client that was shutting a facility or a location down, divesting of that location. And those are really tough projects, because for the people that are going through them, it is just a tremendous loss of camaraderie and a sense of purpose, esprit de corps, all the many things that we get through historically healthy, well-functioning employers that, for no fault of our own, are bought by some external organization. So in those cases, we modify some of the kinds of phases that we see in that narrative that become constructive for employees as they start to make those transitions, at least emotionally. So I can recount those occasions where, in sort of a large group with 1 or 2 or 300 employees at a time, going through these phases and then being instructive and having people come up afterward and speaking to how powerful or helpful it was for them to kind of wrap their head around the loss. So I'll do it very quickly, but I do hope that it helps one of you somewhere out there. So we start obviously with sort of stasis, right? So we're going through organizational life, and then an announcement comes down that this place is closing, or that my department's being rolled into another, or outsourced, or whatever the case is, right? So I go through that early part of the narrative, chapter 1, if you will, in loss, which is sort of the shock and denial and throwing me into the gurgitator and then the regurgitator within the washing machine, if you will, right? And I'm numb and confused. So that delta, that change has really thrown me off my game, right? And it's not unusual that people become really angry, bitter about that. All the things that I've done for this organization, and this is how they treat us, that sort of thing, right? And then they get kind of in a spin cycle, right? Any of us do in the course of that woeful loss of not being able to have that place where we showed up for so long with the people we cared about so deeply. And we're sort of back and forth between bargaining and detachment, which to me feels like, on the one hand, trying to hold on or reconstruct the past for the future, reaching out, sharing my story, trying to find meaning in all of it, but then at the same time pushing it away, wanting to detach from it, right? I'm feeling blah, overwhelm, or, apathy, if you will. And then in time, more often than not, there comes this phase of acceptance, which is where we're starting to get our nose, our mouth, our head above water, and taking in some air, starting to feel like we might live through this, actually. And that's the point where I start to see people are looking at their options and they're making plans, right, about the future. That's a big green flag that says, hey, we're going to be okay, when you start to see employees make plans, positive plans for the life after here in this organization. Because at that point, they're returning to life. They're finding meaning once again. They're feeling empowered. rather than put upon or like a victim. They're starting to feel a sense of security in the future, and they're regaining their self-esteem.